Alright, what's good everyone? Welcome back to another video. In this video, I actually want to show you how to play Maplestory on the ROG Ally X and the ROG Ally and other handheld PCs. And also some troubleshooting tips for people who might be encountering issues. Like for example, this right here is an issue. So sometimes when you start the game on the ROG Ally, it starts like this and it just doesn't work no matter what you do. You can close the game with the task manager by killing the process and it start the game again and it doesn't work still. So what you can do to fix this issue, basically you need to connect your ROG Ally to an external screen. So if you're somebody like me who uses these handheld PCs in multiple ways, handheld and then plug it in to use it as a computer, sometimes when you're connected to an external screen, you might open Maplestory in full screen on your external screen, but then if you're playing on the ROG Ally in handheld mode, for some reason, if you don't turn it back to windowed mode, or change it back to a resolution that fits this screen, then the game won't open properly and it will just glitch like how you saw. So what you need to do is connect the external screen. So I'm gonna do that right now. All right, so I have my All right, so the screen that I have is actually the UPerfect laptop. This is the 15-inch model with the 120 hertz screen. It has a built-in keyboard, trackpad, everything. And basically what you can do with this thing is connect your ROG Ally to it, and your ROG Ally basically becomes a laptop. And boom, so the ROG Ally is connected, and this is actually a touchscreen. So Windows works with touchscreens, and you can interact with it. So basically what I want to show you is you got to go into Maplestory on the external screen, and then you have to change it back to a resolution that works on the ROG Ally for it to start working again. So you're just going to go to options and go to graphics, and you just want to change it back to windowed mode, and then boom, now I can disconnect the ROG Ally from the UPerfect laptop and then go back to its own screen. So boom, now Maplestory is running properly. So I'm gonna go 1080 full screen on the ROG Ally, and there you go. So now Maplestory is working how it normally does. So that might be an issue that you encounter, and that's how you solve it. Let's get into how you actually set up your controls. So if you press this button on your ROG Ally, it'll bring you to Legion Space, and you have a list of games. And if Maplestory is not here, you can actually go to Manage Library with this button right here, and then you can add a game or app to this library. So if Maplestory is not here, you just do that and add it to the library, and then you should be good to go. And then once you add it to here, now you're going to go to set game profile, and here is where you can customize all the controls. So if you go to each control, each button on the controller, you can see the different buttons laid out, and it shows you where you're on by the highlight. So if I go to this button right here, I can go to edit, and then you have a bunch of different options. So this can apply to many different kinds of games that you might be playing. But for Maplestory, you use the keyboard, right? So you go to keyboard, and then you can just select the button on the keyboard that you want, whatever button you're mapping to use. So for example, this button is the one I'm on. I can set it to escape, and then boom, now this button is escape. And then you basically go through every single button and do that. Yeah, how it works with the sticks. So the right stick, you might not be using it. You could use it for a mouse cursor if you want to, but like it works, but it's not my favorite to use. And if I'm on the ROG Ally or a handheld PC, then I'm not really doing too much with the mouse anyways. So what I'll do is I'll make the right stick actually be like different buttons. So if I go up, it's Q. If I move it left, then it's W. If I move it down, it's R. If I move it right, it's 1. And these are just like specific kinds of skills. So for example, like buffs and toggles and things like that. Things that I'm not using too often, but I need access to. And then you can also map pushing it down. So I have that set to enter. So like I said, I don't use the mouse cursor on the right analog stick. So what I do is I touch the screen, or I'll use the direction pad, because this is how I move in the game. I'll use this to navigate the menus and then press enter. So I have this button right here set to interact with NPCs, and then I can navigate with my directions. It's kind of small, hopefully you can see. And I navigate with my direction inputs, and then I can press down on this to do enter. And that's basically how I go through menus without having to touch them. Obviously there are some menus in the game that don't work with the keyboard inputs. Like, for example, the ones that where it's like storytelling and has the text at the bottom with the picture of the character or whatever, those menus won't work. But for the most part, your generic menus and stuff like that, like accept and, escaping, different dialogues with NPCs, you can use those inputs. So that's what I do. But then you can also adjust your triggers sensitivity. So if you want like a different kind of dead zone, you can do that. If you want like specific kinds of functionality on your keys, you can also do that. So hold for turbo, you can, adjust the intervals, and you can also remove that function. You can add secondary inputs by using these keys at the back, these buttons at the back, to input secondary inputs if you want to. I use them just as regular buttons on the keyboard, just for more things, but you can go hard with that and, add a lot of customizations. And then obviously for your analog sticks, you can adjust the dead zones and stuff like that as well to make it comfortable for you. So that's basically how you customize the controls. And like I said, you go back and then you can just start Maplestory from here, and then it will, use whatever you use. So if you use Steam, it will start up Steam and then start Maplestory, or it will use the Nexon launcher if it's open. And then there you go. Your controls should be working and you can play the game as you would. And then if you are somebody who uses Steam, then you can actually play Maplestory through Steam's input. But I would recommend just using the ROG Ally's built-in controls because it's very easy. But Steam input basically allows you to do the same thing. There's less options because it doesn't have these buttons at the back. Steam input only sees the ROG Ally's controller as an Xbox controller. So whatever buttons are normally on an Xbox controller, that's all you're gonna have access to with Steam input. So I wouldn't necessarily use that if you're using Armory Crate, because it has the built-in controller customization that works better than Steam input in my opinion. But Steam input is more of like a, if you just want to do that. You can also export your different settings and layouts and stuff like that. So it's kind of decent, but yeah, just use Armory Crate in my opinion. And yeah, so Steam input, just make sure you run Steam as administrator before you play Maplestory, otherwise it's not going to work. So that is basically how you set up Maplestory on, the ROG Ally X. And you can customize different things like, performance and, the resolution. You can go down to like 720p and save battery life. And also, if you want to turn off the high refresh rate, you can do that as well. But I personally like the 120 hertz. It actually is effective in Maplestory. You can get 120 hertz. You can get 120 FPS easily. And then you can also turn down the power to save battery life. Even at 13 watts, power saving mode, Maplestory runs fine on the ROG Ally X. So yeah, you can customize different things. And the game's in-game settings are all high. It's not a typically demanding game, but for power settings and stuff like that, you can run it at high and you won't see too many issues at all. If you go to different windows, like for example, going in the cash shop, it does change the size of the screen. So you might have some issues with that. Like right now, it's weird. And if that happens, you just got to close the game and basically just resize it. If for things like the cash shop, you want to be in window mode if you're playing on the handheld itself, because it has compatibility issues. Yeah, the screen is just bugged now, so you got to restart the game. So things like that you might encounter in Maplestory when you're playing on the ROG Ally. On the Lenovo Legion Go, I don't really have these issues because the screen size just works. And as you can see, I was able to exit the cash shop by pressing escape and enter multiple times, but like everything is glitched out. Like this is crazy. Maybe that will help. Let's see. No, everything is still bugged. There will be some sizing issues if you're going to cash shop or different things that change the size of the screen and you're not at the right resolution. So you want to just make sure you get that stuff proper when you're playing on the ROG Ally. 1080p full screen. Let's see if this fixes it. It's a little bit better, but it's still bugged. Can't even see the portals. So at this point, you just close the game and restart. But yeah, that is basically it. That's how you play Maplestory on the ROG Ally. That's how you set up your controls and how you fix the screen resizing issue. It's best to just use an external screen to get that stuff done. But yeah, let me know in the comments below what kinds of videos you want to see on Maplestory on handheld PCs, and also just in general with the ROG Ally, the Lenovo Legion Go, and stuff like that. And even just Maplestory content in general. Let me know if I should make more of that. But yeah, until the next video, we out. Peace.